Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely shatter pretty much everything you thought you knew about the senses, and specifically, how living things process the world around them. As humans, we've grown up with a very rigid, almost textbook understanding of how the body works. We tend to think of hearing as this super exclusive club, right? Like you absolutely need ears, eardrums, and a highly complex brain to process sound waves. But today, we're peeling back the curtain on the hidden acoustic world of nature. We're going to discover how life forms completely lacking these organs are actively tuning into the world's invisible symphony.
So let's just dive right into this seemingly impossible paradox. It's something that completely challenges our fundamental human bias about how hearing actually works. Seriously, think about it for a second. Can you truly hear a symphony without ears or a brain? Well, by the end of this explainer, the answer to that question is going to fundamentally change the way you look at a simple houseplant or even a drop of ocean water.
All right, let's get into section 1. Hearing without senses.
We naturally associate the ability to process sound with complex anatomy, like a central nervous system. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's how we experience the world, so we just project that onto everything else. However, the emerging field of digital bioacoustics has revealed something completely mind-blowing. Acoustic awareness is actually this ancient, universal survival tool spanning across surprisingly simple life forms. By placing tiny, super-advanced digital microphones out in wild environments, from dense rainforests all the way down to the bottom of the ocean, scientists have discovered a foundational truth. You don't actually need a brain to listen. You just need to be able to feel the rhythm of your environment.
Which brings us to Section 2, the coral larva compass. To really wrap our heads around this, let's travel down into the microscopic world of the ocean. Look at coral larvae. Despite being essentially tiny, mindless drops of jelly, these little guys must somehow navigate the massive, completely chaotic ocean to find a healthy reef to call home. When they hatch, they're totally at the mercy of the vast open water. If they just drift randomly, they die. They have to actively swim out of the current and locate a vibrant, living reef where they can settle and grow. But how on earth do you navigate the ocean when you literally don't have eyes, ears, or a brain?
Well, they pull off this navigational miracle using a layer of fine hairs called cilia. These cilia physically feel the acoustic vibrations of a healthy reef, because remember, sound travels incredibly fast and really far underwater. So a healthy reef is basically a loud acoustic beacon, just packed full of the snaps, crackles, and pops of feeding fish and snapping shrimp. These microscopic cilia translate the movement of water particles caused by those sound waves into navigational data. They are basically swimming inside a tiny, inside-out ear. And the data backs this up beautifully. When researchers tested this in a custom-built acoustic maze, a stunning 67% of these brainless larvae actively swam toward the specific sounds of a healthy, vibrant reef. Scientists placed hundreds of thousands of these larvae in an acoustic chamber. When they played white noise or just pure silence, the larvae just kind of drifted aimlessly. But the very second they piped in the lively, recorded sounds of a thriving coral reef, over two-thirds of them deliberately paddled their way right toward the speaker. No brain, no ears, but they were absolutely listening.
Let's keep that momentum going. With Section 3, Roots-Seeking Running Water. If an animal without a brain can hear, let's escalate things and look at an organism that doesn't even have a nervous system, the common plant. In a totally groundbreaking experiment, researcher Monica Gagliano proved that pea plants can actually eavesdrop on their environment to find hydration. She took young pea plants and placed their roots in this specially designed Y-shaped maze. Down one branch, she played a recording of running water. Down the other branch, she played either white noise or just silence.
Now, the absolutely crucial point here is that the plants weren't just sensing moisture in the dirt. The water sound was coming from a completely sealed pipe, so they were making a deliberate growth decision based entirely on acoustic data. There was zero moisture gradient in the soil, no physical water for the roots to smell or feel, and yet, the plant consistently grew its roots toward the speaker playing the water sounds. It was literally using acoustic cues to blindly navigate its subterranean world.
Okay, moving on to Section 4, defending against chewing caterpillars.
While some plants use sound to locate vital resources like water, others use it as a highly sophisticated early warning system for sheer survival. Researchers discovered that the seemingly passive Arabidopsis, which is just a small flowering weed, can actually identify the exact acoustic signature of its predator. Scientists attached these tiny, ultra-sensitive microphones and lasers to its leaves and then played the micro-vibrations of a caterpillar chewing on a leaf. Instantly, the plant began pumping toxic defensive chemicals through its vascular system. It was bracing for a physical attack that hadn't even started yet.
And honestly, it gets even crazier. The plant isn't just panicking and reacting to random noise. It specifically differentiates between the terrifying sound of a chewing caterpillar and the harmless rustling of the wind. When scientists played the acoustic vibrations of the wind blowing or even the sound of other completely non-threatening insects buzzing nearby, the plant did absolutely nothing. It just ignored them. It has an evolved, highly specific acoustic threat detection system. It essentially remembers the exact sound of its doom.
Next up, Section 5. Sweet nectar for buzzing bees. Beyond just survival and defense, plants also use sound to actively negotiate and reward the animals they actually rely on. Certain flowers will sit and wait in absolute silence until they hear the specific, familiar buzz of a pollinating bee. You see, making super sweet nectar costs the plant a ton of valuable energy, so it doesn't just leave it sitting out all day for any random insect to come by and steal. Instead, it waits for the perfect acoustic trigger.
Within mere minutes of feeling that specific acoustic frequency vibrate through their petals, the flowers flood with heavily sweetened nectar to reward the bee for visiting. The petals of the flower actually function exactly like tiny satellite dishes, perfectly tuned to the exact frequency of a pollinating bee's wings. When they feel that hum, they spike the sugar concentration of their nectar to make sure the bee keeps coming back. And the kicker? If you play a higher or lower frequency, the flower completely ignores it.
Which all leads us right into Section 6, redefining how nature listens. It is definitely time we completely rethink our definition of what it means to experience the acoustic world. Just looking at this summary, it's so clear that hearing is not an exclusive mammalian trait. Sensing and interpreting vibrations is a universal, ancient ability used for life or death decision-making across the entire tree of life. We have mindless blobs of ocean jelly finding a home, silent pea plants hunting for water, weeds bracing for an attack, and flowers preparing a meal for a passing bee. Every single one of these complex actions is driven entirely by sound.
And as this quote highlights, by leveraging these new digital bioacoustic tools, we are finally tuning into a continuous, vibrant, and invisible conversation that's been happening right under our noses since the dawn of life. For centuries, we simply lacked the technological ears to hear the world the way the rest of nature does. But now, the silence of the plant and microscopic world has been totally broken.
And that leaves us with a truly fascinating mystery to ponder about our own noisy existence in this deeply interconnected acoustic ecosystem. If brainless corals and silent plants are always listening, what else in nature is quietly hearing us? The next time you walk through a garden or swim in the ocean, just remember that you are not alone in your acoustic experience. The world is listening back. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope it opened your ears to a whole new way of seeing the natural world.